According to the written records, Croat's history dates back to the 7th century, and it is assumed that the history of beekeeping in this area is associated with the settling of the first people. The first true record of beekeeping in Croatia appears in 1288 in Chapter 8 of the Vinodol Code, law written in the Old Slavic Glagolic script about the breeding beekeeping communities, and that honey was for a long time at a high price. It is assumed that the first beekeepers in this area were so-called forest beekeepers, who were actually honey gatherers, and later they kept bees in lime logs, adopting bee communities and made habitats for bees, and so provided themselves honey and other bee products. Beekeeping is a branch of economy which, along with all the modern improvements, has long preserved traditional features. Today, these old forms of beekeeping help us understand and explain events in the past.
The oldest preserved evidence of bee breeding in Croatia are the 16th century stone hives on the island of Brač and the surrounding area of Obrovac that have been held to date. This type of hive was used up to the 18th century, when they were modernized and placed in a mobile honeycomb. Until then, they had a plank placed under the stone cover for which bees relied on the construction of the honeycomb. Another way of cultivating and keeping bees in these areas was in the walls of houses and drywall. Even today, such houses exist, but younger population does not know what the recesses in the walls actually should be used for. This type of beekeeping was described by Roman writers on a larger scale, and such a method of beekeeping is widespread throughout the northern Mediterranean, and this type of beehives can be found at the Greece and the Italian coast.
There are two significant documents on beekeeping. In 1743, the oldest beekeeping publication was published in the Croatian language, the Household's Manual, which describes how to keep bees and beekeeping in Croatia. Already in the 18th century, Empress Maria Theresa recognized the importance of beekeeping. In 1775, she issued a law which exempted beekeeping from taxation.
The 19th century beekeeping is described as a period of a mixed way of beekeeping. There were wooden or knitted hives made of straw and horn, and then the first squared and lying hives came to use. The most important person for beekeeping is Bogdan Penić, father of Croatian beekeeping. He was trained at Klosterneuburg in Austria, where he noticed the difference between traditional Croatian beekeeping in baskets and trunks and Austrian modernized beekeeping in mobile honeycombs. In 1875, the first beekeeping association was founded on the island of Sciolta, under the Italian name Consorzio Apistico. In 1879, the first beekeeper company, Slavonsko pčelarsko društvo, was founded, and Osijek is considered to be a cradle of Croatian beekeeping. In 1881, the first issue of the magazine Slavonska pčela was published, and 2 years later was renamed to the Hrvatska pčela. It is important to note that this magazine is among the 5 oldest magazines of this type in the world. In 1954, the Croatian Beekeeping Association, the umbrella organization of all beekeeping associations in Croatia, was founded. The founder is Ivo Tomašac.
In Croatia, with development of beekeeping, traditional crafts and candles, literary cookies and beverages have been developed, having honey and wax as the main ingredients. Traditional manufactures date back to the 16th and 17th century in continental part of Croatia. Craftsmen had been trained in Croatia first, and then used to go to Austria and Germany to master their skills. Licetar's heart-shaped cookies, honey cookies, gwirts, mead, and wax candles are most popular, and still can be found at churches and traditional fairs. Licetar craft was entered in the UNESCO Intangible Heritage List on 16 November 2010. This has made Licetar's autochthonous Croatian product.